Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning grind, the Saturday morning grind. I see Matt's here. Good morning, Matt. Good to see you. I still feel like I'm recovering from yesterday. I feel like there's been a lot of recovery this week. Because yesterday, if you were not with us, yesterday was a 5-hour-long morning grind. We were talking about the Wizards of the Coast OGL situation. So that was a fantastic stream. And then I didn't get to do the Dinner a Board Game release last night because the upload was taking too long. So I just decided to play a NES game last night. So I did that for the 2 hours. So yesterday was the most streaming I've ever done. And I had other things to do yesterday, and so I'm behind on all of that. But yesterday was incredible. I was 7.5 hours worth of streaming. Record-breaking streams as far as number of people watching. Thumbs up, amount of time streamed, all kinds of stuff. It was incredible. So got up this morning and started working on the beat sheet for the film script. Oh, I've got my coffee this morning. Just brewed, got cultist coffee this morning. So our topic today, just introduce the topic, is it's one of the RPGs that I think most about. which is and I had forgotten about this one over the last few days, but I think a lot about GURPS, Fate, and also bizarrely HackMaster. So some people think that's kind of bizarre. Has anybody played HackMaster, or are you familiar with HackMaster? This game has definitely an old school feel, right? And so from many perspectives, I think there are things that could be modernized, updated, as far as our idea of unified action resolution mechanics go, and things like that. But I also like what it does in a lot of regards among character classes, and also its combat initiative system for a tactical RPG system. Because we got the narrative side of things, which is kind of the direction that I'm going, but I still appreciate the tactical side too. I enjoy all of that too. It's just which kind of what am I looking for at the time? What do I want to do at the time? And for a tactical combat, I got to play this at Gen Con, and I really like what it does. So we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. That's what we're going to be looking at today. All right, first of all, let's breathe in and out. Breathe with me. And sip. Take a sip of your favorite beverage. That's good. That's good. Okay. Well, now I think we are ready to begin here. I see. I had some other thought, and I can't remember what it was. I had a thought before the sip, but I can't remember it anymore. So let me pull this. Oh yeah, it was that I was going to do an unboxing. I still have I've got the unboxing stuff over there, and but I was working today and I didn't get the office cleaned up. But I have to do the unboxing of my desk cleaned up. But the Alien RPG, I'm still really interested in getting into the Alien RPG, so that may be soon. Sunday is typically a potpourri day, but Alien RPG is coming. All right, let me add. What do I have up here? HackMaster. I've got the full rule book here in PDF, but they also have this what they call unofficial quick start guide. Let me bring this up. So is anybody familiar with this? I have played it and I have read it a lot. I've only played it once, though. I got to play this game. Let me sort my windows. I got to play this game with the creator. Hang on. There we go. I'm sorted now. All right. I got to play this game with the creator at Gen Con. And I had already familiar with the rules and familiar with the game and knew of its existence before I went to Gen Con. But when I saw it there, and Kenzer Company was there, and the creator and different people, of course, from the company were there, and I went, oh, I've got to play that. And they were doing demos in the gaming hall or in the vendors hall, and they had a fantastic setup for playing HackMaster. Now, because this is has tactical combat in it, it's expecting you to be putting miniatures out on a grid and moving them around. And so they had a fantastic setup with painted miniatures and all of that, and also all kinds of Dwarven Forge stuff. So they had a whole cavern and dungeon set up for us to explore using the Dwarven Forge. So that was also incredible. Playing with the creator, learning how to play. It was so much fun to play. And then plus it was just on this fantastic setup. So I'm not sure, I haven't seen on Twitter. I put this out on Twitter that we were doing this, and I haven't seen people talk about playing HackMaster, especially in this environment where people are looking for something else. Right now people are looking for different kinds of games, and actually I haven't seen HackMaster come up. So now it's out there on Twitter on my Twitter feed, but I should bring it up as well because I do not see this game talked about very much, and I don't really. There's a lot about Kenzer and that I don't understand just because I don't know. So, oh well. Maybe this will help get it some attention here. So let's go to the quick start guide. Well, let's see if it tells us what this is supposed to do. For those who have nowhere to go but up as quickly and as brutally as possible. Character creation. what you need to know. Okay, so what is this game about? HackMaster is a fantasy role-playing game. Of course, this game mixes strategy and skill with fortune, as your wit and the luck of your dice may determine if your character lives or dies. If you have never played an RPG before, don't worry. We want to find out exactly what the philosophy is here. Let me see if I can find it over here, because on the hardback book there is nothing on the back here. Oh, okay. Let me go. Actually, so I found a great. Let me go over to the player's handbook, because I know exactly where I can find this. I see it because I've got the PDF, so I might as well bring that up. Because this does have information on what HackMaster is about. Okay, so introduction. So here we go. We are here at HackMaster here. Because while HackMaster plays like an old school game, it closely models real life more than any previous edition, old school or new, despite its fluid mechanics. So that's quite a claim as well. Modeling real life. In other words, this may be the first useful introduction ever penned. So here's what the stuff is about HackMaster. You don't ever wait for your turn. And I think this is really cool, and that's what made it fun to play. Talking about, we had the idea that we need to play some different combat systems or do some different combat systems from RPGs as tests here on the Morning Grind so that we can, just see them and experience them. This is one that I don't see why people aren't playing as much because you don't ever need to wait for your turn. The whole game is based... Oh my God, I need to bring this up. There we go. Sorry about that. Hide the table of contents. No. Hide sidebar. There we go. You don't ever need to wait for your turn. The whole game is based on the seconds system, much like timekeeping in the real world. If your character wants to take an action or change his mind in the middle of an action, then by all means do it. No sense standing around. And that did make combat fun. I mean, you are moving your miniature around on the table, on that board, second by second. Exactly what you want to do when you want to do it. That's fun. Both shield and armor make it easier for foes to hit your character. But they simply absorb damage and deflect blows, making your character less likely to be injured, just like in real life. Characters use an active defense. So this is an active defense system. We've been talking about that, and I want to talk about the pros and cons of an active defense system from a game design perspective and what makes them work when they do work and what makes them not work. But this one definitely has an active defense. So if you are somebody who likes rolling for defense, well, here we go. So unlike AD&D or D&D, when you're just rolling against an AC, then you actually have active defense in this world. And I, when I put out on Twitter, was asking people what type of defense they like to have. Active defense in the poll did, for my followers, did come out on top. So this is an active defense roll. Roll to defend as well as attack. A low roll isn't the end of the world. So you rolled a 6 against the orc. Don't whine about missing until the game master rolls for the orc's defense. You still have a chance. He may roll a 5. Atomic House Films asks, is this true that we're working on HackMaster here? If that's what you're asking, yep, definitely looking at HackMaster. Kind of rare, I know. So, going first and fastest is not always best. Charging into a group of surprised foes may be great for a first strike, but it may also be a way to find yourself surrounded if your allies aren't as quick as you. Being surrounded or even outnumbered is a bad thing, is a very bad thing. Taking on multiple foes, even if far inferior to your character, can be bad news. A large group of orcs will be a tough fight for even high-level characters, while in other games this would be a cakewalk. Well, it wasn't one in the Mines of Moria, and it won't be one in HackMaster either. Ranged weapons don't work quite as well in real life or for low-level characters as they do in most recent RPGs. Frankly, I'd rather be shot with an arrow from a longbow than hit with a broadsword if forced to make the choice. Think about it. Every character cannot do everything, and no character is an island. HackMaster is a game of hard choices for each character. You need a team of characters with complementary skills and abilities. HackMaster really is a game where you need to know the answer to the question, Who's watching your back? Each character class has a specific role. Fighters fight and should be in front. Mages should keep out of melee at all costs. Thieves should be on point, but ready to let the fighters take the lead in combat. Clerics are the party's all-around support. Each role is important to the party's survival. Playing a thief or worse, a mage, like a fighter, just gets the character and sometimes the party killed. All the min-maxing during character creation doesn't mean a thing if you don't use your brain during the game. The spreadsheet that managed to save you 4 BPs, that's like your build points you're using to build characters with, on your mage thief's skilled liar skill doesn't mean much if you try to straight up melee a troll. 3d6 in order. That's how we're generating statistics. 3d6 in order does not mean does not mean you usually get an unplayable character. HackMaster drags the average 3d6 character ability back to 10 or 11 from 15 to 16. So that takes care of our inflation right there. 3d6 in order does not mean you usually get an unplayable character. Oh, we just talked about that. Oh, I see. Atomic House Films. Okay, he's asking. I just woke my friend. My friend texted D&D is dead, and I'm scared. Well, if you're looking for more info on the OGL situation, check yesterday's stream. Just Google the Morning Grind OGL. It was an epic live stream. So we went over everything on that. That's where to check that out. I think it was the best discussion I've seen. I'm biased because I was in it, but we went over everything on that. I think it was a great discussion of that whole topic. So check out yesterday's live stream. We go over everything. Rhino says a game without the OGL. Right. Yes. And this is a game without the OGL. There is no OGL in HackMaster. So also you don't have to worry about that. Now I don't know about their rules for, I don't see a whole lot about licensing HackMaster, so it's kind of exists in this weird island. Hey, good morning, Innerlight. Innerlight is here. Sorry, I'm late. I got caught up with the chat GPT, GPT and something we were working on. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I want to hear more about that. So Innerlight was saying yesterday, was talking about working with AIs to Dungeon Master. And we were talking about that yesterday briefly. Innerlight also says, don't be scared. There are other games, or make your own. It's not that hard. Apparently, even AIs can do it now. Apparently, yes. There are other games, and it's not like anybody's doing, your 5th edition books, your 3rd edition books, your 3.5 edition books, your advanced D&D books. All of your D&D books that you already have are going to play just the same regardless of what happens. They're still on your shelf. Hey, Nash. Good morning, Nash. So, intelligence is important in melee. It increases your chance to hit an enemy. That's why the stupid giant can be defeated by the clever warrior. There are no perfect characters. This actually seems like it would be a good Twitter thread. Might have to do that. There are no perfect characters, but there are many different ways to create a great character. You can never tell the outcome of a battle before it starts. Just because your fighter is at full hit points, killing that goblin with a spear is never a sure thing. Simply because you've encountered goblins, kobolds, zombies, and other games doesn't mean they're as easy to defeat in HackMaster. The GM is not out to kill you. He's out to kill you if you are foolish. A tactical withdrawal is a perfectly... So this game does... it has a more acceptable attitude toward a possible antagonistic relationship between the players and the game master. But this is the important note. The game master will be out to kill you if you are foolish. A tactical withdrawal is a perfectly acceptable option because far more often than in fantasy games, you will wind up over your head. In the end, the best advice I can give you is that HackMaster is a game of difficult choices. You will never have enough build points for everything that you want or need. There's no no-brainer weapon that every combatant should use, nor is there one best class. The best advice is just to play the game with an open mind ready to learn. Nothing brings out the genius of HackMaster like actual play. During a play, you'll see how well the system flows and works. It's a game written by people who love to play. Nash says, don't be scared. There's a lot of other RPGs that don't use OGL. Explore other RPGs. D&D is small compared to what's on the market. Hey, Keith. Oh, I found a HackMaster player. Oh, this is cool. All right, Keith. Awesome. Keith Crow says, just getting here. I used to play HackMaster back in high school. It was a very goofy 2nd edition style game. So this, yes. you think it's goofy? That's interesting. Gnome type. Now, okay, now the setting and stuff in it, I don't know much about. So maybe the setting does have some goof to it, second edition type goof. But I'm thinking about I'm looking at the rules basically here and how to play. But that's basically how we get started and set up here. Maybe we should just stay in the PHB for the moment. We've got character creation, ability scores, character races, classes, clergy, alignment and fame, priors and particulars, quirks and flaws, proficiencies, talents, skills, goods, services, and equipment, combat, an illustrated example of play. So we're going to take a look at that. Money and treasure, experience and training, because I think the combat system is the one that we really need to look at. And it's great that there is this illustrated example of play, which makes that really cool. Experience and training, non-player characters, miscellaneous rules, cleric spells, mage spells. So let me find a character sheet. Where is a character sheet? Is it in the back? Because we should look at a character sheet before we go forward. Look what's in this. It's the accolade. That's cool. Sitting right behind me. Character sheet, please. Character sheet. And please don't make me download another PDF. At least right now. Character creation. Character creation flowchart. Okay, well, I don't see a character sheet. Maybe we'll find one. I don't want to talk too much about character creation in here because we're not talking, our focus hasn't been character creation over the past few days. But I want to tell you what I like about it. And what I like about the character creation, it has to do with the way it does character classes. Because I've done a video on this subject before, and I believe the name of the name of the video was "Should There Even Be First Level Paladins?" And it has to do with what they are doing right here. So here are the character classes. Now we've got pretty classic character classes: fighter, knight, though, paladin, ranger, barbarian, thief, rogue, assassin, and mage. So here is like the fighter advancement table. So you start here, if you're fighter, of course, you're going up with your stats here. But then over here, okay, we have the knight. So what's the difference between a fighter and a knight? Well, the knight is a fighter subclass. As a fighter subclass, knights are the most similar to that class in their ability to destroy foes through force of arms. Knights are leaders of cavalry, excelling in mounted combat and weapons associated with the same. They outclass other characters with their chosen knightly weapons. However, they also have certain weapons and armor restrictions, as well as many restrictions based on code of conduct. Okay. Let's go down here and see. Okay, class requirements. That's what I was looking for. Right, there's comics right here. Yes. Access Your Inner Light says, I've seen the comics. Knights of the Dinner Table, they play HackMaster, I think. Yes, exactly. Now, I think that the idea was they were playing HackMaster in the comics. Let me turn my camera off. They were playing HackMaster in the comics, and then later they decided to make HackMaster the game. I believe that's the way it is. So HackMaster they're playing this game in the comic book, which I've read some of the comics, and there are some pretty fun animated versions of those comics online, which is how I first discovered on YouTube, which is how I first discovered Knights of the Dinner Table. Then I read some of the other ones. So, but then the game, and it's a serious game that they made as a result. But yes, exactly. Noah Y says, HackMaster is fun. Anything that has master at the end is fun. Rollmaster is another one. Yes, and I played Rollmaster. We need to check out Rollmaster too. Of course, we've checked out MERP on the channel before, but we haven't actually explicitly looked at Rollmaster yet. And then Keith says, Iron Wind Metals still makes some of the minis for the game. Really? So this is, Keith says, A Knights of the Dinner Table, KODT, is where HackMaster got started. This actually looks like the newer edition. I played the first series of books. This edition might be more serious. I think that may be the case. I think this is a more serious version of the game. And what edition is this? Because there were two different editions, or at least two different editions. For some reason, I think the game started on I could be wrong about this, but it started on second edition or something, because that's what they were playing. So there was no first edition or something like that because they were playing second edition Hackmaster in the comic book. And then this may be, then they came up with a new edition after that. So this may be called third edition. I think that I had the GM screen for Hackmaster at some time. I sold it though. Talk about tiny print and massive information. Yeah, you know, I don't think I have. I don't have the Hackmaster GM screen. I should get that. I'm sure it does. I like GM screens that are packed with a lot of information. I have done a series on this channel about the best GM screens and taking a look at all the different GM screens because I made one. I did happen to make one for 5th edition combat. But I do like screens that pack a lot of information to it. Now, the screen that I did have David's art on the front. So it was art on the front. And of course, it's David. So it's just absolutely gorgeous looking. It's an old library. So you get like in a skull and stuff like that. And like sitting on the bookshelves. It's really cool. It may have been. Interlight says maybe that was from the less serious edition. But I would guess that now I need to check out that GM screen for this. Keith says, I backed the live action Knights of the Dinner Table Kickstarter. That was a lot of drama, but it did get a somewhat finalized DVD of episodes. I didn't know that happened. I did not know that happened. Huh. I'll have to check that out. Okay. But what I was saying, what I like about, one of the things I like about character creation here is what they do with, character classes. So, okay, we were saying Knight is a subclass of fighter. So unlike other classes, characters do not begin play as a knight. So you cannot just choose to be a knight. Rather, knighthood is earned through proven loyalty and combat prowess in service of a lord. I like that. Does a first level knight make sense? Maybe it doesn't. So no first level knight here. So to become a knight, a character must be of strong body and stout heart, meet minimum physical requirements of 13 strength, 11 over 51 dexterity. Everything is a split, something over 100 dexterity and 12 constitution, as well as show above average leadership qualities, minimum 11 over 76 charisma, and at least rudimentary understanding, minimum of 850 over 51 wisdom. Prove his worth. He has to achieve at least 5th level in the fighter class, entering the knight class as the character advances to 6th level. This makes him a 6th level knight at the time. So you start off, as a fighter, and you can't even become a knight until you hit 5th level. That ensures that if you are a knight, you have proven your worth. Knights should have proven their worth. A character can choose to enter a knighthood as a higher fighter than 5th. In this eventuality, the character becomes an equal level knight and advances from there. You have to have a certain mastery of horsemanship, advanced mastery in riding, show some skill at discretion at good degree of willpower, attain at least average mastery in diplomacy, recruiting, resistance, persuasion skills, as well as gaining etiquette, manners, proficiency in the culture, which the order of knighthood is embedded. Join a knightly order in service of a lord or master. Have no major physical flaws, such as missing limbs, major digits, and the like. Be not afraid. Have no phobias. Be a man of honor, average or honor or higher, and be proficient with one knightly melee weapon, mounted weapon, and the lance. Then you can progress as a knight. And there's, of course, a lot more about knights here. But then the paladin is the same way. So I ask, should there be such thing as a first level paladin? My answer is no, and Hackmaster agrees. So we do have paladins, but much like the knight, a character may never begin play as a paladin. Rather, the status of paladin is bestowed upon the purest of body, heart, mind, and spirit, and the most faithful servants to a religious knightly order church. To become a paladin, a knight character must continue to be of strong body and stout heart, meet the knight's requirements, have high leadership qualities, prove great worth, that's achieve at least 10th level in knight, entering the class as an 11th level paladin. So you got to be a 10th level knight in order to become a paladin. If you want to become a paladin, you got to earn it. You got to earn it, which I think is great because how do you put a gate on becoming a paladin? Well, AD&D did that by having high prerequisite ability scores, and you had to roll for them. And so you only got to play a paladin if you rolled very well on your ability scores and were able to make a paladin with your ability scores, right? 5th edition and 3rd edition as well, but 5th edition dispenses with that. If you want to play a first level paladin, anybody can play a first level paladin. But does that make sense? I like the way that HackMaster does it here. Paladins, you got to be higher level in order to do that. Now, I would make sure that you can create higher level characters easily. Maybe not everybody has time. They want to play a paladin, but they don't have time to always start at first level. So you should be able to start a game fairly easily, I think, at 10th or 11th level. That's how I choose. That's how I solve that problem. Well, what if I really want to play one? Because I'm also big on being session focused, right? That we session focused, perhaps 1-shot, 2-shot. It's difficult to get people together anyway. We need to be able to get people playing what they want to play. So that's, to me, that's the best of both worlds. Can't be a paladin until higher level. So start it as a fighter, work your way through knight to paladin, but also have the rules be capable of creating higher level characters much more easily. Keith Crow says, I actually have a poster of dogs playing HackMaster hanging in my game room. Well, that's cool. Snap a picture of that and put that in the Discord. That'd be fun. Nash Wise says you need to be at least charismatic as a knight. Yeah. Inner Light says for the past hour or so, I've been working on ChatGPT to design a role-playing game. We already have something interesting going already. Oh, well, that is cool. I wonder if we should just open a place for different AIs and world building. Well, we got world building and game design. We can put that there. I still got to get the discussion going. Oh, thank you for the reminder. Let me put the Discord server link in here. I think I didn't do that yet this morning. So if you are here and you would like to join the Discord server, please come by and join. Nashwise says, damn, gaining subclass in HackMaster seems fun. So different compared to 5e subclasses where it's a free pick. Right, yeah, you actually have to earn it. You have to earn it. And I like that. Inner Light, the alternate rules of 3rd edition, Paladin, Ranger, and Bard were prestige classes. Yes, I do remember that. That's in the Unearthed Arcana book. Right, you could turn them into prestige classes. And I also like that. Rhino Watcher says, the way I heard it, 1st edition HackMaster is the only game that uses 2nd edition AD&D with TSR's blessing because TSR printed knights of the dinner table without paying them due to financial hardship. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So if you're looking for flashback to AD&D, here we are. That's why I was curious if the new one used the OGL. I think they can just claim the original agreement with TSR to protect them. No, there is no OGL here. But I mean, this is completely rebuilt. This is not AD&D. This is something different. This is just completely rebuilt. So Paladin status is bestowed. You have to maintain your mastery of knightly skills, have studied his faith, and be nearly unshakable in his convictions. Since when do you have to study your faith and be like D&D? You don't have to do that all that often. But you have to attain at least advanced mastery in the religion and resist persuasion skills. Have served and continue to serve a knightly order in service of a specific lawful good religious order. Be of sound mind and body. Have no quirks, flaws, or disfiguring scars. Be a man of high honor. Have great or legendary honor. And of course, that's something in here. Something you track in here. Required to know the lance, 1 required melee weapon, 1 required mounted weapon, required religious weapon. The paladin must become proficient. Oh, the paladin must become proficient in his deity's preferred weapons. So we'll probably look at this more when we go through and are specifically looking at character creation stuff. But I wanted to point that out because I do like that. Now, because I want to create some kind of ranking structure like that. For both Theophany and Rabavania. So I really like that. Let's go to its combat system. Because how to play, we could look at how to resolve a skill roll. But even though we're kind of focused on how to play, hey, let's look at combat. So when does combat start? And let's also look at its illustrated example of play. who knows? See, we're not going to go for 5 hours today, but I want to let's talk about this combat because I think it's deserved. I don't see it talked about nearly as much as it should be. So 2:14, and this is definitely not AD&D combat. 2:14. See, I would like to just play the combat. Like when we're talking about session-centric games, what I would like to do with HackMaster is just get a group together and say, hey, we're playing for 3 hours. You're going to assault a dungeon in HackMaster, playing basically a hack and slash dungeon crawl using the HackMaster rules for 5 hours or for 5 hours. I mean, it could be 5 hours, but for, a session, 2 to 3 hours, and just enjoy ourselves doing this kind of tactical combat. Okay. And like I said, this is my favorite initiative system. So, all right, let's now see the style of writing here. Chances are you've spent most of your role-playing career playing vastly inferior game systems that make little sense, but you're used to whatever inane rule set you've been playing. So anything new, no matter how much simpler and how much sensible, will seem difficult at first. So let's take it slow and not add every rule and option available at this section until you've mastered the first few. Yeah, we'll stay with basic combat for this live stream. Soon enough, you'll come to realize that HackMaster, while far more realistic and with far more options for rich play than your old game, is actually far, 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 far smoother running than your current game. Trust me, one day you'll be playing and realize, holy mackerel, I can't believe I ever thought that other nonsensical, complicated mess was actually better than HackMaster. Heck, it's not even in the same league. Also, your character died during creation in the first edition. I don't know if your character can die in this edition. That in Dungeon Crawl Classics, we got to look at Dungeon Crawl Classics too. In Dungeon Crawl Classics, I'm told your character can die. I think that's always funny and always funny when you got systems where your characters can die in character creation. He wasn't even created yet, and he's already dead. I believe Dave Kenzer is a lawyer that knows a lot about IP and copyright law. That's one way they were able to make some of the games they did. Really interesting. Keith Crow says Kenzer Crow was one of the few companies that licensed their third ed products so they could use the Dungeons & Dragons name on their Kingdom of Calamar products. I played that setting too. Right. So that was their setting. Right. And they licensed that setting. And so Kingdom of Calamar actually has official Dungeons & Dragons branding. Yes. Access Your Inner Light says they just need to put a dice roller in the chat function here. That would make role-playing games online a lot easier. Yes, that would be nice if YouTube or Twitch, but especially YouTube, had a dice roller in the chat. That would be nice. I wonder if there's some type of plugin that would do that. Rhino Watcher says hack and slash play is appropriate in HackMaster. It is, and not everything has to be. I mean, people are often surprised that I like this because I talk a lot about the narrative side of gaming, and that's kind of my primary thrust right now. But that doesn't mean I also don't like other things too. And sometimes going into a dungeon and just fighting monsters inside is fun. And Rhino says Dungeon Crawl Classics uses character death funnel. Right. Don't you like start with a whole bunch of characters to create, and then one of them survives and that becomes your character? Okay. So the melee attack roll. To land a hit on an opponent, simply roll a D20P and add your attack bonus. Okay. What does that P mean? That P means penetrating. So, let me make sure that I'm calling it right. When a character, when a die roll is penetrating. Now, see, that's the kind of thing that you should be able to find quickly, but I don't think that you can. It basically means exploding. Dice are exploding in this game, so your D20 roll can explode and keep going up and up and up. But I think in some of them, you might reduce the die. Is that true? I can't remember if you reduce the die or if you explode with the same die. I kind of think that you might explode with a lower die. But at any rate, maybe that's not important right now. The P means penetrating. So So the D20P minus 4. There are many instances where a D20P minus 4 roll is called for. The result is obtained by rolling D20 penetrating and subtracting 4. Thus, a range of -3 to 16 is possible, though the possibility of penetration may allow one to exceed 16. Your opponent, okay, so you roll D20P and add your attack bonus. Your opponent rolls D20P minus 4. So it's not exactly the same random element on both sides. It's kind of close, but it's not the same random element in both attack and defense. The numbers are compared and the highest total wins. A tied result goes to the defender. Smart players learn to roll simultaneously as it speeds play. I know HackMaster's active defense seems weird, but if you stop to think about it, actively defending yourself when the GM attacks your character is a lot more fun than and actually makes a lot more sense than simply standing there and taking a shot to the head. Why the heck would any character or monster just stand there and take it? Duh. So yes, that's a good point. If you can roll simultaneously, you do speed this up. Because one of the problems with active defense from a game design perspective is that it does double the amount of dice rolled to resolve any action or resolve an attack. So that can slow down play. So roll them together. The damage roll. If an attacker lands a hit as described above, he simply rolls his weapon's base damage and adds any modifiers for strength, specialization, other reason, and declares the damage total to the defender. The defender deducts the damage in hit points from the total hit points. He hopes he has enough left to swing back. If not, he's slain. And by the way, there's a video on this channel about tracking wounds individually. You don't just take off all of your hit points off of one big total in a big mass in HackMaster. You track wounds individually, like it should be. Like, I like that. I like tracking wounds individually. So that's another thing that HackMaster does that I really like. So you keep track of that because your wounds will heal differently. So I don't know if we'll get to that here, but that's another thing this game does that I like. Look at the YouTube video that I did called Tracking Wounds Individually. And I go over that here. Of course, Defender has armor or the like, obviously absorbs some of the damage. What, you didn't think armor made you harder to hit? That'd be an odd, crazy notion since everyone knows armor slows you down. Its purpose is not to increase your maneuverability. Well, it wouldn't increase your maneuverability, but how much it decreases it is open to question. But in point of fact, but to reduce actual damage. So also, HackMaster has damage resistance for armor, which is another thing that I like. I like damage resistance for armor. Or armor as damage resistance. So that's what's happening. Active defense, damage as armor, or armor as damage resistance. Okay, now let's go to initiative, which I like this system. So this is why nobody waits their turn in HackMaster. You go whenever you want to go. Okay, so initiative. Before discussing just what actions are possible in an encounter and how long they will take to perform, it's important that we cover just who goes first. Several factors affect how fast a character can take action, most notably the character's base initiative. The other important factor is a random D12 roll, or other die, depending on situation, to represent the variation of one character getting the drop on another. This is called the initiative roll. The initiative roll determines who can act when and who is surprised. On the onset of action, each character is aware of an opponent, or could be aware of the opponent, or could be, rolls the D12 for initiative and adds that to their base initiative. The result is the character's starting initiative. During an encounter, each character begins by declaring an action and moving based on his starting initiative. Since actions occur on time and the count up, as described below, it's better to have a low starting initiative. So, where is my, oh, here it is. Got something I need right over here. So, base initiatives should be low. Lower is better. Note that negative numbers are possible. For example, a base initiative of -3 + 1 = -2. However, these are rare and counted as 1. In some cases, characters can roll a lesser initiative die than D12. For instance, an experienced thief whose character type improves his reflexes as he trains. Other cases are situational. Standard encounter, there we go. Declared ready for trouble and having evidence of an ambush ahead, but don't know when or where, D10. So the lower the initiative number, you're starting faster. Can hear opponents in concrete direction but not see them, D8. Going through a doorway with absolute knowledge the opponent is on the other side, D6. Leaping around a corner with absolute knowledge the opponent is there or waiting for the opponent's leap, D4. Okay, then the count up begins. And when I was playing this at Gen Con, like, this was fun. Once the character or monster rolls starting initiative, the GM begins to count up from 1, each unit representing a second of time. When the count up reaches the character's starting initiative number, the controlling player may announce an action. The GM doesn't need to announce actions taken by NPCs or monsters, but he will note them physically or mentally. Any character that has a starting initiative number higher than the current count up number is in a state of surprise or otherwise caught unaware or flat-footed. So I have this counter right here that I'm prepared to run this, although I guess I do need a GM screen, but I could run it anyway. So I'm prepared because I have this physical counter right here. So this right here allows the game master to track what the count up is. So the game master is there. All right, everybody's got their initiative number. 1 calls out 1, and then whoever has an initiative of 1, players or monsters, starts an action. If you've got initiative 1, okay, nobody. Let's go to the game master clicks it over. That way we always know what number we're on once we start rolling dice for damage. All right, 2. Anybody who's moving on 2, get moving. 3, click. All right. Now, this is why you're using miniatures. You are using miniatures in this, because I should talk about that. Like, when your initiative comes up, like, your movement is based on by second, right? So it's like, how many spaces can you move in a second? And most of the time that's 1. And so if you want to move when your initiative comes up, you grab your character and you move them. And so I didn't realize I was supposed to do that, like, in the very first. Like, when I first started playing, we were invading this dungeon, and the game master goes, all right, 1, 2. And then when your initiative comes up, then you can start acting. And then when your initiative comes up, everybody simultaneous play, which I like, so people aren't just sitting around at the table, waiting for something to happen. The simultaneous play, your initiative hits, everybody reaches in and moves the miniature. Reach in, move your miniature. Reach in, move your miniature. And I was kind of standing there waiting for my turn. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute, I don't get a turn, right? I'm supposed to be moving. And I just sat there. So initiative seconds were clicking by, and the guy I was playing was just standing there for those seconds because I didn't move. Then I got with the game. Talking about the death funnel, you can do a death funnel with Shadow of the Demon Lord too. We got to look at that one too, because I don't know. Starting with 0 level characters and see who survives. I do love 0 level characters. Yeah, but Shadows of the Demon Lord makes 0 level adventures that are survivable with every player just playing 1 character. Yeah, and Innerlight says, I like DR for armor too. Yeah, active defense, DR for armor. And this initiative system, what are you thinking about this? This is good. I like it. Okay, so surprise, let's just skip by that for the moment. We got information on surprised characters, mitigating surprise, movement. Oh, so here is movement, right? Characters may move all the time. Like all actions, a player declares his intention first. When the count up reaches the time indicated on the per second movement chart, the character then moves, and the player should make further declarations of what their next action will be. So humans, elves, and size medium and large creatures walk 5 feet. Dwarves, halfling, and size S and T creatures move 2.5 feet. So that means that they move 5 feet on the first second. No, excuse me. That means they move 5 feet every other second. So you can't move on every initiative click or every time click. You move 5 feet every other second. Once you get to jogging, running, and sprinting, you do get to a place where you can move 5 feet on the first second, 10 feet on the next second, alternating each round. So that's what I was talking about when, so if you're going on initiative 8, you have to wait for initiative 8 to come up. But then once initiative 8 comes up, if you're walking 5 feet forward, then 9 hits, 5 feet forward again. 10 hits, 5 feet forward again. Characters may only sprint for half their con in seconds, rounded down. Such allotted time may only spread across several spurts. Characters recover in 16 plus D4 penetrating minus con minutes and then may sprint again. Note results of 0 or less are possible. Now, here are movement action rates. This is how long it takes you to do something, right? So, okay, we were talking about running and sprinting. Change facing to the side, 1 second. So 1 second is the amount of time elapses in any particular, click of our counter here. But draw ready a weapon a large weapon takes 2 seconds. So that's why you're declaring that's what you do. Oh, I'm initiative 8. Initiative 8 just came up. I'm drawing my large weapon. And then initiative 9, I would still be drawing it. And then initiative 10, it would be ready. So retrieve spell components readily available. So let's say, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast a spell, and I'm on initiative 8. Well, the first thing I'm going to have to do is ready my spell components. How long is that going to take? It's going to take 1d4 penetrating seconds. So I could be fumbling around for a bit. Let's say I roll a 3. So I start looking for them on 8. Initiative 9, I'm still looking for them. Initiative 9, I'm still looking at 10, I'm still looking for them. On initiative 11, my spell components are now ready. Searching belt pouch for or pockets for an item, D4 penetrating seconds. Stringing a bow takes 15 seconds. So if your bow is not ready, 15 seconds. Unstopper container and drink a potion is 2 seconds plus the retrieval time of the potion. Yeah, battle shock. Yeah. When my character was just standing there, it was battle shock. That's exactly what it was. Ambushes, ranged attacks. Ranged attacks in the game are, as we talked about, or as it talked about earlier, are not as effective as they are in, for instance, 5th edition combat. But they work kind of the same as far as the attacks go, but they don't do as much damage. So the attacker rolls D20P modified by range penalties indicated on the range chart for his weapon and adds all applicable bonuses such as attack adjustment. A moving defender rolls D20P but adds no modifiers at all, even for a shield or defense. A stationary defender rolls D12P for defense. So we're changing up the random element again. Be aware of the attack. Be aware of the attack. Be aware of the attack affords no bonus to the defender unless the attacker suffers a -6 long range penalty. Okay. When can I shoot? Just like in melee, a shooter cannot attack until his weapon is readied. But unlike hand-to-hand combat, where merely brandishing a blade makes a character ready for a fight, ranged weapons have to be loaded, cranked, drawn, and aimed prior to attacking a foe. Ranged weapons cannot be carried around strung indefinitely. It's your responsibility to inform your GM whether your weapon is strung or not, and suffer the consequences of ruining your weapon and increasing the range of mishap if it is strung for an excessive period of time. So here are our ranges, and you can see here's the attack die at that particular range. Rate of fire. So a short bow only has a rate of fire every 12 seconds. So that means if you are ready to shoot with your bow and it's and you shoot on initiative 10, if you shoot at 10, then that means you won't be able to shoot again until 22 comes up. Right? Now also the weapons, your melee weapons have different speeds too. So there you can't attack with them every second, depending on what it is. So that may be that's slowing you down as well. I haven't seen the weapons yet. Damage, death and dying. So you don't necessarily die when you're reduced to 0 hit points or below. If an injury drops a character to precisely 0 hit points, the character is actually in near death but stable state. He will lose consciousness unless he can make a willpower check by rolling a complete a wisdom check. A character can also survive negative hit points, but only up to half his constitution in the negative. Melee attacks and reach. Shields and armor. When defending against a typical attack, an unshielded defender rolls D20P -4 and adds his defense bonus, comparing the result against an attacker's 2D or a D20P plus attack bonus. Using a shield, however, eliminates that -4. See, here's the way this goes. The way this rule book is written. While it may seem counterintuitive to folks that have been playing inferior games, let's examine this for a minute. Shields are used to purposely block and deflect blows, not dodge them. Why in the world would a shield make it harder for an opponent to hit you? It wouldn't. Your character is in fact using the shield to purposely intercept blows. Luckily, shields are designed to absorb blows with only minor impact to the wielder, so extraordinary blows will cause so only extraordinary blows will cause any significant injury. This is one of those things that seems difficult to understand at first due to pre-programming by inferior, nonsensical rule sets. You're smart, and I trust you'll overcome this in a game session or two. So rules for shields, fighting styles, special moves. There's a lot of advanced combat, but that's basically how combat goes. We should look at the speeds. There's mounted combat. I want to see the speeds for the different weapons, and then coup de grace right here, attacking helpless opponents. Wherever the equipment is, that's probably telling us the weapon speed. Okay, illustrated example of play. We want to look at that here in just 1 second. I want to look at the weapon speeds first. Where is equipment? Proficiency, talent, skills. Good. Okay, 192. This giving us weapons first, maybe, hopefully. Nope. Let's see. Weapons, 206. Have to go through two different so doesn't that tell us that? No, it didn't tell us that here either. Well, we're gonna have to find that. No, but weapon size and weapon speed, right? Well, oh no, I guess it's right here. Yeah, right here. Strength required. So here's our weapons: strength required, skill level, damage. So I also like that this uses different combinations of dice. The damage dice penetrate as well, so you can also roll really high in damage. Shield damage. So if you're at speed, jab speed, size, reach, type. So speed and jab speed. So here's your weapon speed. So if you're using a mace, you can only attack with it every 11 seconds. Using a flail, you can only attack with it every 13 seconds. But like the damage here for a battle axe is 4d3 penetrating. So every one of those d3 dice will penetrate. And I also like this damage system. I like the damage system. I like if you're going to have exploding dice, which is what they call that penetrating dice here if you're just joining us. If you're going to have penetrating or exploding damage, I would put that on the damage roll. Or exploding dice, I would put that on the damage roll. That's a critical hit, right? Your damage dice can explode. That way, something like a dagger does 2d4 penetrating. So I like that. So if your 4s come up, you penetrate with another 4. D4. It might be D4 minus 1. Somebody's going to have to look that up. I have to find the rules for penetrating. It'll probably give us this in the combat example. But that does mean that, yes, it's a dagger, but yes, it could kill you. If you roll high enough with this dagger, it can kill you, right? Because you can roll the penetrating dice or exploding dice and do a lot of damage with a dagger. And I like that. I would use a system very much like that in tactical combat. I really would. You need to be scared of it because if a dagger hits you in the neck, you're done for. Innerlight says this is a very active initiative system. It could be chaos depending on how many players are playing. Maybe a good thing. There can be chaos, but also that's fun. It was just a lot of fun. Trey says, looking at the character sheet for this game. Yeah, I couldn't find one in this book. Looking at the character sheet for this game, I have not seen a game that would benefit more from an online character creator. I like the rules, but the overhead is huge. See, I agree with you. And that's why I think that the things that I like about this game and the rules, I think need to be extracted and modernized because it's not. There's a lot of overhead in this game that comes from now. Also, that's partially by design because this is intentionally an old school kind of feeling game, and it's intentionally for people who want that. So it's by design. But I think that there's a lot of things that I like about this game, but those things that I like need to be extracted and modernized. That might be a project for some of our RPG building on the Morning Grind sometime. So extracted, modernized, written more cleanly. You can see the style this rule book is written in. I think would be great. There is still a ton of information, though. Innerlight saying there's a ton of information, though. Microprint, definitely more of a simulationist game. I would say more of a simulationist game, but also, but also tactical. You know, it's intending to be a tactical game that is with fun combat and with this type of system. I don't know why it's not talked about more. Let's go. It seems like traditionally on Saturdays, because it's a Saturday, we get involved with something that goes longer anyway. This seems to be how it's going. But that's fine. It's Saturday. It's not like I don't have other things to do. But I want to look at this. Let's go through this combat example, because I also love this combat example. We like examples of play here. We talk about that a lot. And this is actually an illustrated example of play, which is really nice. So let's take a look at what's going here. They use the Knights of the Dinner Table to illustrate how to play HackMaster, which I think is great. So what do we got here? Now, this is not the whole character sheet, but it is our summary, right? And this is what they call like the combat rose or something, a rose, R-O-S-E, that's going to give you all of the information about the player that you actually need in combat. So you've got these, you do have a lot on that character sheet, but you also have this combat rose that tells you what you need to know just for combat. So it's got this reference thing here. So we are going to be playing with Knuckles, the 9th, played by Bob. He is a dwarf thief. He has a dagger and a light crossbow. So we can see the speed over here. So that's how fast they're going to go. The initiative, that's base initiative over here. Attack, damage reduction because of armor, damage, defense over here, reach of weapon, range attack stuff down here. So this is attack roll, damage reduction. Because what type of armor? Leather armor over here being worn. We have Noir Lotus being played by Brian. So this is a dwarf mage. He's got a staff with a speed of 13, initiative +2, but he's a spellcaster, of course. Justina is right here playing a human cleric with a longsword. Sarah's playing Justina with leather armor and a longsword. And then El Ravenger, the 5th, is being played by Dave. And Dave is a human fighter here. Okay, the Goblin Cave of Dak Seeker. The Nose Play says, I love tactical games like this, but I agree that some sort of technology makes it easier. This almost sounds like a PC game. I think it needs to be cleaned up. See, I'm glad that you like these too, because Nose Plays and I are talking a lot about different narrative style things. And I like both. It's not one or the other. It's difficult to do. I find it's difficult to do them both at the same time. Like, what is the focus of the game? It's difficult to do simultaneously. Have the narration and also kind of narrative, story-driven, but while also having tactical combat. But when it's time for tactical combat and dungeon crawling, man, I want it. Dragon Warrior uses comic-like graphics for their example too. Oh, interesting. Okay. So not the only one. It seems to make sense. But okay. Hoping to shave off a day of their travel time to the town of Galorian, perched outside the sleepy shores of Randor Lakes, the Knights of the Dinner Table decide to take a shortcut through the Kalia Forest. Unfortunately, a thunderstorm soon sets in, and the party quickly finds themselves lost as a heavy fog sets in. After many hours fighting their way through the twisty, gnarled undergrowth, they step into a small clearing, where the dark, inviting maw of a large cave stood. As 4 goblin guards drew swords and shouted in alarm, the party found themselves engaged in an unexpected fight for their lives. So BA says, okay, your search of the cavern turns up nothing else of value. You search the side of the passageways, but to no avail. It appears they lead nowhere but to dead ends. So this is, oh wait, what are the names? So that's Brian. Okay, yeah, that's Brian. That's Sarah. That's Bob. That's Brian. No, wait. That's Dave. That's Dave. That's Brian, Sarah, Bob, Dave. Yeah. So Brian says, say what? That little bit of nothing was it? Just 4 stinking goblins and a few silver pieces? Hrumph. Hardly worked up a sweat. BA, I dance a victory jig. How many bolts were in? Oh no, there's got to be more to it than that. They did seem to be fighting dearly to guard something. Those guys fought tooth and nail. Where's the good stuff? How many bolts were in that pouch? There are 5 new bolts. Okay, cool beans, Bob. Ha! For you losers, maybe, I scored a freaking light crossbow off that one dude's body. I can scratch that off my wish list. Snicker. By the way, BA, I want to make sure this thing is in working order. Dave's right, Bob. There's got to be more to this place. So here they are on their tactical grid here. All right. I'm on it. Stand back. Give me some room. BA, I'm going to check the west wall of this chamber. Looks suspicious. Okay, roll for it. Okay, so here we go. So yes, that's Dave. I love he's got the Die Orc shirt. Somebody's got to make a shirt like that says Die Orc. I'm sure it's out there. Bob, BA, Sarah, and Brian. One scrutiny check later. And you notice Play says, yes, it's a balancing act, talking about our narrative focus and then our tactical combat. We talked about the spectrum of how these games can play. Very tactical like Warhammer stuff, or this. Very narrative like Fate, and everything in between. There is a huge spectrum, which I think is only a good thing. Well, yeah, there's lots of different ways to go between. And there are also games where it's like your combat's basically like a mini system inside, some other embedded in some other game. Trey says, it would be interesting if the character sheet used the combat rows. The one I found does not. Oh, it does not? I think it would keep the game moving. Oh, well, yeah, it should. You need the combat rows. Innerlight says, I'm afraid a Die Orc shirt would be considered racist these days. Uh-oh. Well, hopefully not. Surely not. But maybe. There's always somebody who would think that. All right, one scrutiny check later. Good job, Bob. Knuckles discovers part of the cavern wall that is fake. It actually slides back, revealing a hidden corridor behind it. Bob uses his scrutiny skill here to search for secret doors. Or used his scrutiny skill here to search for secret doors. Bob rolled against a difficulty set by the GM. Okay, we are going to fight orcs here. Okay, Knuckles, take point, Dave. Dave, you get my back. And why exactly am I being torchbearer again? Whoa! Let's get down here. Let's get to the actual fight. Okay, here we go. The chamber bends to the left at the other end, towards what appears to be a larger cavern. The flickering glow of torchlight comes from that area, and backlit just at the entrance are 3 hunkering forms with beady yellow eyes. More torchlight, huh? Well, I'm being real quiet. And wait, did you say beady eyes? Yeah, everybody roll for initiative. We've got gobos. So BA has ruled that since players were on guard and prepared for something, they can roll a 1d10 for initiative. Knuckles, being a thief, will roll 1d8 instead. All right, we looked at that. So 4, 5, Drat's a 9, 9 here as well. So I got my crossbow at the ready, BA. Okay, you guys have got 3 goblins armed with crossbows, ready, aimed at you. Here comes the count up. You do realize it wasn't loaded, duh. So here are our goblins right here. They have a speed of 20, initiative of 3. Threshold, they're rolling 2d6 P damage. Okay, so bring it, Screen Monkey 1. BA has ruled the goblins have been aiming since the PCs arrived in this area and can fire immediately on 1. Had they not been aiming, they would have to be subject to either the penalty for firing without aiming or forced to wait 4 seconds to take aim. Note that BA has ruled Bob did not load the crossbow he took from the dead goblin. In this case, the GM was looking for a specific called action stating that had been done. So now we are on action count 1. Bob, the first goblin rolled a 17 to hit you. The second fires at you and rolls a 12. What is this? Pick on Bob Day? Ka-chunk. Give me some defense rolls. Sarah, the third goblin has you in its sight. Crossbow bolt coming at you. A 16. Roll defense. Crap, I only got a 15 on my first defense roll and a 19 on the second. I got a small shield, however, so I have a chance to block that first bolt. Sarah rolls a 12. Sigh, I'm hit. Nice try, Bob, but you said you had your crossbow at the ready. No shield block roll for you. Ah, man, you were robbed, dude. Got to take the hit, Bob. Ranged fire is treated a bit differently than melee combat. Bob and Sarah roll d20, but don't add their defense bonus. Since the goblins are within 60 feet, BA rolls d20 plus 3, the goblin's attack value, to determine the total attack rolls. I also like that it gives you this reference right here. For if you're want more information on that, how do you get that? Normally, when a character is struck by a missile weapon, they may roll against their shield's cover value to see if they block or catch the projectile. Unfortunately, Bob did not have his shield ready, and Justina does not have one at all. So you're rolling against shield's cover value to see if it blocks the projectile. So he did not block the first one, or did not defend it, so he could have been able to block or catch it if he had a shield, but he doesn't have it ready. Since both Bob and Sarah were struck with missiles, BA now rolls 2d6p for each bolt to see how much damage their characters sustain. BA rolls a 1 and a 1 for the damage on Knuckles for a total of 3, and a 2 and a 3 on Justina for a total of 5. The bolts hit, but neither is serious. Bob, you take a whopping 3 points. Sarah, you're tapped for 5. Mark them off. My DR reduces it to 1 point, BA. Okay. Hey, yeah, dude, that's a paper cut. And my DR brings the damage down to 3. Each time a PC, NPC, or monster is struck for damage, they reduce the roll damage by their damage resistance of their armor or natural protections. In this case, both of them are wearing leather armor, so it's a DR2. Once hit, both Bob and Sarah record their wounds on their character sheet, reducing their hit points by the appropriate number. However, as I was saying, it's important that they record each wound separately since it factors into how wounds are healed. All right, continue the count. 2, so nobody going. 3, action count 3. All right, Bob's going on 3. I go on 3, moving at a jog on this count. Me too, right behind you, Bob. Bob's initiative is 4, and Sarah's is 9. However, since they were both struck by a weapon on count 1, they can act 2 seconds after being struck. On a 3, both can move and attack. See mitigating surprise on page 217. PCs can start moving with a walk or a jog, but not a run or a sprint. Since Knuckles is the dwarf, he can jog 5 feet around. Justina, being human, can begin moving at 10 feet a second. Since the goblins are 15 feet away, they will close the gap rather quickly unless the goblins start hauling ass. Save the one on the right for me, Sarah. He's mine. You got it. So here they go on the tactical grid. Action count 4. Sarah, so now they're going. So they move again on 4 because they're running. So this is why on 4, Sarah, you reach your gobo this round. Bob, you will arrive on a 5. It's on. I'm attacking at BA. So in the heart of the moment, Bob has apparently lost his focus. Had he declared he was moving from a jog to a run, he could have moved 10 feet and reached his opponent on this count. See movement on 218. 2 goblins drop their crossbows and draw daggers. Sarah, you have reach. So here's our goblin statistics with a dagger. Goblin drawn dagger. Dropping an item takes no time at all, and the goblin can do so without taking any additional time. Furthermore, drawing a small item takes 0 seconds. As Justina closes, the goblin draws his dagger, waiting for combat. Goblins are small creatures like dwarves and halflings, and essentially have a 1-foot penalty to their reach. Since they are using daggers, both Justina and Knuckles will strike first in combat when they arrive because their reach is longer. So this also takes into account reach. Who is actually attacking? So in some ways, this is kind of like initiative in the sense who's going to be attacking first in this case. It's based on weapon reach, another thing that I like. I got a 9 on my attack roll, BA, and that's good enough to hit. For this attack, Sarah rolls a d20p and adds her attack bonus +1. She rolls an 8 and adds 1 for a total of 9. BA rolls d20p -4 and adds the goblin's defense bonus +2 without a shield to see if the goblin can successfully evade. BA rolls a 3 and adds 2 for a total of 5. Rolled a 3 and adds 2. Since 5 is lower than 9, Justina successfully hit the goblin and can now roll damage. Go ahead and roll your damage. So Sarah rolls 2d8p, and I believe she was using a longsword, right? And adds or subtracts her damage bonus, -3, to the roll to determine the total amount of damage. Her first roll is a 7, but her second roll is an 8. Since Sarah rolled the maximum on one of her die, this is penetrating, a penetration roll, she can roll that die again. All additional rolls must subtract 1 from the result. That's it. It's not a lower die, it's subtracting 1. So all additional penetrating rolls must subtract 1 from the result. However, getting the max value a second time permits a third roll, and so on and so on and so on. So you can just go up with your damage. That's a major critical hit. But all penetrating dice are subtracted by 1. Sarah rolls a 2 on her second roll. Subtracting 1 from it, this bonus, this roll, yields 1 extra point of damage. Her damage is 7 + 8 + 1 = 16. She subtracts 3 points of damage on account of her poor strength for a total of 16 points of damage, or excuse me, for a total of 13 points of damage to that goblin. I hit him for 13, she calls out. Nice job, Sarah. He's definitely going to feel that. So BA first reduces the damage from 13 to 11 because the goblins have DR2. However, goblins are small creatures, thus any amount of damage more than 10 points of damage results in a knockback. Even if the goblin's DR had reduced the damage under 10, he still would have been knocked backwards 5 feet. Sarah, your attack strikes the goblin so hard he is knocked back and is in a stupor. He's topped. Ha! Take that, creep. Next, snicker. So this goblin is pushed back 5 feet because of at least 10 points of damage. Not only has Sarah knocked the goblin backwards, but she's also forced a trauma check by doing more than 8 points of damage to it. See trauma on page 235. Goblins have a trauma save of 6, so BA rolls a d20. He rolls a 6 or less, the goblin remains standing and can retaliate. Anything more than a 6, the goblin is incapacitated. BA rolls a 16, and the goblin thus missed his check by 10 points. He is traumatized for a lengthy period. We are traumatizing these poor goblins. Not only are we stabbing them, but they're traumatized because of it. BA rolls a 16, and the goblin thus missed his check by 10 points. It is traumatized for a lengthy period of time. 10 times 5 seconds. 50 seconds, that goblin's can be in trauma. So you got to look at what count we're on. What, 4? So yeah, so on count 54, make note of that as the GM. The goblin will become untraumatized. Action count 5. Okay, next count 5. Yes, BA, I engage the goblin on the right. Hey, save some for me, Dave calls out. I move over to that third goblin, Sarah says. BA, can I start moving this count? I started off at a jog and moved to help. BA, I can start moving this count. I start off at a jog and move to help. Hey, Hot to Hack, you're forgetting something. I can't go till 11. Come mitigate my surprise. Sorry, dude. So I guess you could like bump him or something like, hey, dude, something's going on here. But he replies, sorry, Dave. Sorry, dude, I don't have time. I needs to get me some gobo action. Jerk, you're going to leave the spell lobber unprotected? Brian asks Dave to assist him by mitigating surprise. Brian is clearly acting on knowledge his character shouldn't have, something most GMs frown upon. Until Brian's initiative comes up at 11, he's momentarily stunned by the action with his thumb up his butt, unable to do anything. Dave can choose to assist Brian by stopping and pointing out the danger. In this latter instance, they would split the initiatives by averaging the count in which Dave helped Brian and when Brian can act, making both Brian and Dave's initiative 8. You can go, simultaneous actions, perfectly fine in this. So still on a 5. Sarah, the goblin you were moving toward was moving to engage you as well. Since you're preoccupied with killing his buddy the second before, I'm going to roll he moves into the space his buddy just got knocked back from. He mutters a growl and spits intent of avenging his comrade. Certain aspects and actions which occur during the course of the game, and especially combat, will require GM arbitration. In this instance, BA has made 2 important decisions. First, he has ruled that the second goblin, despite being 5 feet away, is currently engaged with Justina. This means both Justina and the goblin were already locked in the count, and weapon speeds won't be reset as they engage one another. So sometimes weapon counts reset. Okay, that's important to remember too. This decision was made because BA had already determined the goblin was going to attack Justina. Yes, you can literally sweep small creatures out of your way. And, I like it when the board shuffles like this. Because, if you've got the miniatures, sometimes, okay, we're playing with miniatures on a tactical board, and then they all move up to each other, and then they just beat each other, right? Until, one of them moves away. But this one, you can bash people out of the way. You can move people out of the way. I also like that in GURPS. It makes a more fluid kind of combat on the table. I also like that in GURPS. In GURPS, you can retreat. If you give ground, if you give a yard, GURPS uses yards. If you give back 3 feet, you get a bonus on your defense. That uses active defense as well. And that also makes the combat fluid. If you're all right giving ground to your opponent and stepping back 1 yard as you defend, you get a bonus to your defense. So, but if you've got to hold a specific place, if you are tied down to a place and you don't want somebody to get behind you or whatever, you don't get that bonus to your defense because you were trying to hold ground. So I like the flow of, if you're going to be doing tactical movement with the miniatures and things like that, I like having the flow of combat on the table. Secondly, BA has ruled that since Justina and the goblin are attempting to move into the vacant square between them, the goblins arrive first. There are a number of ways to determine who arrives first, but BA has decided the goblin took advantage of the extra time he had while Justina was killing his comrade. Sarah, you've got reach on your first goblin, so you can attack first. Bob, you're using a dagger, same as your opponent with the same penalties. You two will attack simultaneously. Goblins are small creatures like dwarves and halflings and essentially have a 1-foot reach penalty to their reach. Since they're using daggers, both Justina and Knuckles will strike first in combat, but when they arrive because their reach is longer. Justina will get to attack first, but Knuckles and the goblin will go at the same time since they both have a -1 reach and are wielding daggers. Sarah takes her attack but misses, giving the goblin an opportunity to attack her back. Now the goblin now attacks his attack on you, Sarah. Attacks his attack on you, Sarah, with a 14. Roll for defense. I rolled a natural 19 for a modified 16. That's a near perfect defense, Sarah. Nice. Oh, yes. In this game, you also have perfect attacks, near perfect attacks, perfect defenses, and near perfect defenses. So we have a near perfect defense here because that's the natural 19. BA rolls an 11 for the goblin's attack and adds his attack modifier of +3 for a total of 14. Since Sarah's roll is higher, 19 minus 4 plus 1 equals 16, she also successfully defends the attack. Sarah receives a -4 to her defense roll because she's not using a shield. In addition, because she rolled a natural 19 and beats her attacker's roll, she gets a near perfect defense result. What does near perfect defense mean? Since Sarah gets a near perfect defense, she now makes an attack roll versus the goblin's defense. So it's like counterattacking, I guess. If she hits, she rolls D4 -2 plus D4 -2 plus strength bonus for the damage. Near perfect defense damage ignores DR unless it's natural, such as scaly skin. See near perfect defenses on 241. My near perfect defense misses, BA. So it's like an in-stream counterattack. Okay, BA, I'm over here. I'm attacking this dude right here. Okay, go ahead and roll, Bob. Yes, a nat 20. I rule, Bob says. Good for you. Roll your damage. Bob rolled a natural 20 on his attack. If the roll is greater than the defense of the character's defense roll, he has not only hits, but has scored a critical hit. Of course, this game's got critical hit. What type of game like this would not? Also, since Bob rolled the maximum, he rolls a penetration roll. In this instance, D20 penetrates to a D6. In this instance, a D20 penetrates to a D6. So maybe that's a different, maybe the D20 does not roll another D20. So it penetrates to a D6. Bob then rolls a 3 on a D6 for a total of 25. 20 minus 1 for penetration, plus 3, D6 roll, plus 3, his attack modifier. Since BA only rolled an 8 for the goblin's defense, Bob not only hits, but scores his critical. Even though the goblin has been critted, he still gets to take his attack before going down, since this was simultaneous combat. For ease and clarity of this example, critical hit results are not shown. The chart will appear in the GMG. Okay. I forget. Critical hits are in the, they're critical hit tables, of course. Sigh. And the Gobo misses on his simultaneous attack. Looks like he goes down with a cut to the throat, unable to whet his blade. So critical hit took out the goblin. He collapses in agony, failing his top check. Action count 6. Okay, moving along. 6. Bob, Sarah, make opposed observation checks, please. Huh? Uh-oh. Now what? BA is asking Bob and Sarah to make an observation check to notice a second group of goblins sneaking into the room from Area 4. BA could also ask for an opposed listening skill check, but he has ruled the noise of combat is concealing the sounds of the goblins' movement. Opposed skill checks are made by rolling D100P and adding the result to the prerequisite skill value. So in this case, Bob has 31% on observation and rolls a 59 for a total of 90. Sarah rolls a 34 and adds her skill of 27 for a total of 61. Next, BA secretly rolls the sneaking skill check for the goblins. This is all very old school. If Bob and Sarah's results are higher than the goblin's sneaking skill check, they notice something. So moving up to a run here, BA. That's still trying to get in action over here. And I'm doing a coup de grace on that spindly little bastard I just critted. Okay, he'll be dead on 9 then. Dave can move from a jog to a run, and in doing so increases his movement speed to 15 feet per second. Since Knuckles is a thief, he performs a coup de grace faster than most classes. Most classes require 10 seconds to kill a fallen foe, but the time required for thieves to perform the task is 3. Action count 7. Note how BA keeps the count moving. Nobody has any declared actions, so he moves on. L. Ravager is slowing to a jog on 7. Coming up on your left, Justina. Hey, the mage is feeling exposed here. Dave had to slow down his momentum, or else he will collide with the goblin. Because there's something about once you're moving fast, you got to keep moving fast, like running. You can't just instantly stop from a run. He has the option to slow down 2 movement increments per rates per second. However, since he's still 15 feet away from the combat, he chooses to slow down to a jog. Thus, he moves 5 feet and can cover the last 5 feet and engage the goblin on an 8. Action count 8. Unfortunately, Brian, you are correct. Lotus is exposed, and he is about to feel it. For on an 8, 2 goblins leap from the shadows of the hallway where El Ravager had been keeping watch. With a gluttural war cry, they come racing toward with murder in their eyes. Gah! Oh dear! Ah! And 2 more goblins come rushing out of the shadows behind the melee to the aid of their comrades. 2 goblins coming up here. 2 goblins coming up here. We're surrounded. Damn it, Dave. I told you not to leave me exposed. Screw it. I'm using a combat maneuver on this gobo, BA. I'm engaged this count. Good call, Dave. Oh, come on, BA. Don't you think Dave and I should have been afforded observation check to see these goblins? I mean, I was standing right there for crying out loud. Sorry, big guy, not this time. What a ripoff. I'm getting hosed here. BA has ruled that since the goblins were hiding out of sight at the beginning of combat, there was no need for an observation check. Furthermore, since Brian is still surprised and his attention is likely drawn to the ongoing combat, he is already looking the wrong way and thus didn't get a skill check. Note, this is purely a GM decision. There's no right or wrong in these types of situations, and BA has used his best common sense in order to ensure a fair gameplay. Despite Brian's protests and whining, at the end of the day, the game master is always right, and he must ultimately concede the point. So we're talking about, I thought that was another one, bloodshed and sorcery. Okay, let's talk about that. Exactly. Inertia. Inertia will keep you going and traveling in this game if you don't actually slow yourself down. Okay, taking this dude down. Aggressive attack here, because of course there are different kinds of attack options in this game. So aggressive attack here. Dave has decided to use the special combat maneuver aggressive attack. This enables him to simulate a fury of blows without regard to his defense. As such, he adds +5 to his attack roll. Unfortunately, he also suffers a -2 to his next defense roll. Should the goblin choose, he could scamper back to mitigate damage, but in this instance, BA rules the goblin stands his ground. Damn these dice. I rolled a 1, BA, for a total of 10. The goblin only rolled an 8, so you just miss. That's great. Dave fumbled his attack by rolling a natural 1 on his attack roll. His attack is calculated as 1 die roll, +4 of an attack bonus, +5 for aggressive attack 10. However, since Dave rolled a 1 on his attack roll, he might fumble. If the goblin's defense roll is higher than the attack, El Ravager will fumble. In this instance, the Dave exceeds the goblin's defense roll. Despite his success, he still doesn't hit. So the goblin rolled an 8. Despite his success, he still doesn't hit. Any natural 1 on attack roll is always a miss. So he missed, but he didn't fumble. 9. Dave and Sarah, the 2 new goblins near you, are jogging towards you. Brian, you're all alone out in the passageway with the 2 goblins of your own. They are jogging as well. My goblin is dead, BA. I'm moving over to the one that Sarah topped and coup de grace his ass as well. Thank God, finally Lotus can activate on 9. Readying components here. Readying components here for a springing spell, BA. Whoa, wait a second. Crap. They're jogging? Damn, never mind. I'll never get the spell off in time to do any good. I'm casting Scorch instead. It'll go off on a 10. And oh, I'm pumping the spell up with 40 spell points. There's spell points in this game too. Sorry, Brian, because you are indecisive and hesitated, I'm going to rule it takes an additional second to cast your spell, or it will go off on 11. It'll go off on 11. Huh? Typically, in order to cast a spell, a mage must ready components for the appropriate spell beforehand. The spell Scorch, however, has no components. To ready components, the mage rolls 1d4p to see how many seconds it will take to get the necessary material components ready. Then he may begin casting. He adds the appropriate casting time for the spell in question. Bob, you will start your coup de... So your spells take time to cast as well. Just like weapons take time to ready and attack with, different spells take different casting times as well. Adding casting time with spells. We've talked about spell casting time before. I like spell casting time. There are disadvantages to it, but this is the way this game integrates it. And also the fighters are having to deal with swinging time and everything else. So I think it works. Action count 10. Bob, you'll start your coup de grace off on a 10 since you have to move 5 feet to get at the topped goblin. 10. Gotcha, BA. Dave, Sarah, the 2 new attackers are on. Move in. 1 on each of you. Come on, let's dance. Brian, those 2 goblins continue to jog towards you. It's going to be close. What, Sam Frick? I'm totally hosed. Always protect the magic user. We've talked about this, guys. Dave, Sarah, the goblins on you are going to attack first. Go ahead and make defense rolls. New attackers joining an existing melee usually don't have to worry about reach to determine who attacks first. Since Dave and Sarah are already engaged with a goblin and essentially locked into a count as long as they remain, so the new goblins just attack when they arrive. Dave, the goblin on you rolls a 15. Sarah, yours gets a 9. Haha, El Ravager blocks with an attack, blocks his attack with a 16. Haha, Justina's hit. Sarah, you take a small wound of 3 points. Dave, your attacker hits your shield. When an attacker hits a shield, he will roll the appropriate shield damage listed in the weapon chart. This is typically a reduced set of dice, which are then rolled to see if they get past the shield, thus damaging the shield bearer. In this instance, Dagger has no listed shield damage, thus BA doesn't need to roll to see if the attacker penetrates El Ravager's shield. Sarah sustained another small wound of 3 points, however she first reduces this by the DR of her armor 2, thus she sustains a measly 1-point wound. She will record this wound on her sheet and reduce her hit points by 1. Action count 11. Brian, one of the goblins reaches you this count. You can smell the foul breath and hear its snarls and its war grunts and its beady yellow eyes close in. It stabs at you with its dagger, attempting to disrupt your spell, and gets a 7. Sigh. Heh. Well, it sucks to be him because I got a 9 for defense. My scorch spell goes off. Roast him and toast him, big guy. Both. I should get both of them. Remember, I put 40 points into this baby. Brian casts Scorch on 11, but since the goblins reach him that second and thus attacks, he has to defend or risk his spell being disrupted. His defense die is limited to 2d20 P minus 6. Fortunately, the goblin rolled very low and missed. Casting the spell cost him 50 spell points. Brian has chosen to increase the potency of the spell by pumping it with an additional 40 spell points in order to increase the damage. Scorch does 1d3 P plus 6 points of damage, but Brian's increased spell points increases this amount to 1d3 P plus 10. He rolls damage. No attack rolls needed for this spell, and penetrates on the damage roll 3 times for a total of 18 points of damage. 3 plus 3 minus 1 plus 3 minus 1 plus 2 minus 1 for 10. Scorch allows a dodge saving throw for half damage, so this is not unified action mechanic. But goblins fail that, plus their trauma checks. To add insult to injury, the force of the spell knocks them backwards 5 feet. Your spell envelops both goblins and blasts them into a fiery mess. Screaming and clutching at their eyes, they stumble back and fall to the ground, writhing in agony. Hooty-hoo! Classic Knights of the Dinner Table. Yeah, they just got a little taste of Lotus Fury. BA, I start jogging to rejoin the group. Oh no, not until next count there, Bruce Jenner, and no faster than a walk. After his spell, Noir Lotus is under the effects of a spell fatigue for 6 seconds. Let's take into account spell fatigue, because why not? We're taking into account everything else. Sounds like spell fatigue is something we should have too. So after a spell, Noir Lotus is under the effects of spell fatigue for 6 seconds, casting time of the spell plus 5. During this time, mages are particularly vulnerable and should suffer reduced defense rolls and limited actions. See spell fatigue on page 242. 12, the action count goes to. The first goblin you engaged with, Sarah, is attacking you. An 11 to hit. Roll for defense. Sigh, why did I even bother? I fumbled. All right, mark off 8 for damage, Sarah. And the count is 13. My coup de grace is complete. Another gobo bites the big one. Sarah fumbled her defense roll, and so when she rolls a natural 1, and her total was less than the attacker's to hit. So defense roll, natural 1, and total was less than the attacker's to hit. Not only is she hit, but her attacker receives an automatic free attack on the next round, in this case 13. So now she's hit. The penalty of the fumble is the automatic free attack on the next round by the attacker. In addition, since this isn't the first combat of the day, and it passed the first 10 points of combat, and it passed the first 10, oh yes, and since it passed the 10 seconds of combat, Sarah becomes fatigued because she rolled less than her fatigue number on a defense roll. Her fatigue number is 2, because hey, let's take that into consideration too. Maybe that's a bit much, but we'll see. But see, since this isn't the first combat of the day, why does she have to do that? Because it's not the first combat of the day, and it's past 10 seconds worth of combat. She becomes fatigued if she rolls less than her fatigue number on her defense. She now suffers -1 to her attack, defense, and damage rolls, +1 to speed as she slowly tires out. A second failed fatigue check will increase these penalties. Okay, the goblin on you is taking his free attack, Sarah. His attack is 9. Wow, nat 20. Now that's more like it. Perfect defense. Okay, little Miss Lucky. He misses, and you get a free counter strike. Sarah has rolled a natural 20 on her defense. Her total, this is more exciting and fun than 5th edition. I like this combat. Her total roll, if we got the miniatures out. Her total rolled is 20 minus 4, no shield, +1, 17. Since her roll is greater than the goblin's attack and a natural 20, she gets a perfect defense, which results in an immediate counterattack. This counterattack does not reset Sarah's count, or Sarah's count is how often she gets to attack with her sword. My counterattack hits, wow, for 24 points of damage. Ouch, that goblin has riled up. Sarah hits with her counterattack, and her damage rolls penetrate. She rolls 2d8, and her totals are 8, plus 8 minus 1, plus 1 minus 1, and 8 plus 5 minus 1 for 27 points of damage. Hitting hard there. That's why I like the penetrating damage rolls. Pan Smith is here. I was talking about this. You didn't see the very beginning here. I was wondering why this RPG is not talked about more. This is one of the RPGs I think about most. I think about GURPS, Fate, and HackMaster a lot, especially in terms of designing games. So those are the 3 I think about most. So Pan Smith is with me, and I'm surprised that this is like our 3rd different HackMaster Afficando here. So we're out there. We just need to talk more about it. Pan Smith says, finally, someone's reviewing the greatest RPG ever. Once you play the count-up system, you will never go back to turns, which stagnate and paralyze any dynamics in battle. That's what I was saying. This is my favorite initiative system, provided you're doing tactical combat. And we were talking about the differences between narrative combat potentially and narrative RPG in general, and then tactical combat. But if you're doing tactical combat, this is the way you want to go. I don't know why it's not used more. This is the way you want to go. I think, anyway. Sarah then subtracts her damage bonus. Even if you're not using all these other rules, the count up system is fantastic. Sarah hits her, so Sarah then subtracts her damage bonus of -3 because she's not all that strong. So she has a -3 penalty because of strength for a total of 24 hits. Not only does her attack kill the goblin outright, it knocks the poor creature backwards 10 feet for a double knockback. Had the goblin survived the attack, it would have been knocked prone and had its count reset on account of the double knockback result. Seeing their friends annihilated, the remaining 2 goblins promptly turn and flee for their lives. Dave and Sarah, you can take free attacks as they do so. Normally, with tenacity rules, the goblins probably wouldn't be so quick to give up the fight. In this case, however, the GM knows they have an agenda to lure the party deeper into the chamber where another ambush awaits. Sarah and Dave get a free attack since both their attacks would have come within half their count. With the free attacks on the fleeing goblins, the group will now easily win this combat and move on to the dungeon. Geez, BA, that's all they had? Yeah, what a bunch of wimps. And BA's thinking, keep talking trash, wise guys. How about giving us something worthy of our time? Hey, let's search the bodies. One chamber later, you walk just a few feet only to discover a large, ominous, shadowy figure racing towards you out of the dark. 4 orcs armed with shields and maces shout out a war cry. Readying my sword here, BA. Gah, what the hell? Moral of the story, never mock a GM's adventure unless else the grudge monsters be loosed. What do you think? I like tactical combat sometimes, probably not for every combat. That's another option too. I'm wondering if I need to put in some type of module like this, because sometimes it might be right. There needs to be the narrative way, but then sometimes you might want to fight it out something like this. New players, GMs, should not be intimidated by the depth of the system. The combat rose is intuitive, and the detailed rules can be integrated as you go. Yeah, the combat rose is nice. We were talking about the character sheet. Has a bunch of stuff on it. Let me see if I can find a HackMaster character sheet. I'm not going to go for much longer, but if I can find the HackMaster character sheet, we didn't see that. We didn't get to look at it. We can just look at it briefly. Free downloads. Combat example, combat rose graphic, quick start guide. Oh, standard HackMaster record sheet, alternative HackMaster record sheet. Oh, so it does say, Trey, it says alternative HackMaster record sheet. This alternate character sheet employs the combat rose data blocks that appear in the Hacklopedia of Beasts. Let's look at alternate character record sheet then, because that's the one that we kind of agree that we need that combat rose. I get excited about RPGs. So let's take that down. Let's take this down, and then here is the stop screen sharing. Present, share screen again. Nope, right here. So here is the HackMaster alternate character sheet. So what have we got here? Character, class, level, alignment, race, sex, height, age, weight, hair, eyes, patron gods, anointed, yes or no, and handedness. I also like this idea of being anointed right here. This is basically, have you been baptized into the faith? So you can have a patron god, but you might not have necessarily joined their church. Now, this doesn't mean that you're a cleric. It just means you're baptized, like being baptized is initiation into Christianity. If you are anointed, and that has influence, because clerics' healing magic may work different on you if one person is of a different person's faith. So let me show you that, which I think is also cool. It adds a mechanical part to faith and religion. So cure wound, for instance, is verbal and somatic. It has a range of touch, one creature. Cure wounds is a family of spells that have similar but increasingly beneficial effects. Casting these spells enables a cleric to heal damaged individual wounds, restoring a varying amount of hit points in so doing. And there is cure trifling wound, cure trivial wound, cure minor wound, cure small wound, cure light wound, cure lesser wound, cure middling wound, cure moderate wound, cure medium wound. We are going all out here. Cure intermediate wound, cure serious wound, cure large wound, cure considerable wound, cure substantial wound, cure heavy wound, cure severe wound, cure extensive wound, cure terrible wound, cure extreme wound, cure massive wound, and cure great wound. So no longer are we just doing cure light wounds or cure major wounds. Man, you've got, what is that, 15 different options? But at any rate, regarding being anointed, anointed followers of the cleric's deity always receive more potent healing. These spells do not function on non-living creatures or non-corporeal creatures and actually do harm to undead should the priest dare to risk physical contact with these beings. Oh, it didn't tell me how much. But anyway, that's also a reason why if you've got a cleric of a certain deity, it might behoove you to also worship that deity and become anointed in that deity's faith for your adventuring party. Innerlight says, I did post some of the results of the hex crawl with ChatGPT under the Geekdom in Discord. Okay, cool. I will check that out when we're done here. Innerlight says, whoa, this is a lot of detail. That's not fitting on a tarot-sized card. No, this is not for a tarot-sized or small half-sized character sheet. Pan says, Pan Smith says, I have been using Hack for a solo campaign. 4 characters reached 5th level in one game last year, 300 journal pages. Most enjoyable time spent in years. Thanks for bringing this game to light. Well, I think we need to do more of it. Thank you. That sounds fun. That sounds fun. Yep, maybe now is the time to put some more attention on HackMaster. So like I said, in AD&D, like strength had excess strength where you would go into, a percentile after your strength, but every single statistic at every level has a main statistic and then also a percentage based next to you. Honor and fame are here. So this strength has damage mod, feat of strength, lifting in pounds, carrying capacity, dragging. Initiative, intelligence has an attack modifier. Because remember, intelligence, being an intelligent fighter actually helps you fight better, which is nice. You don't see that often in other places. Initiative modifier, that comes from wisdom. Defense modifier comes from wisdom. Mental saving throw bonus from wisdom. Initiative modifier also on dexterity. So some things modify 2 things. So, your initiative modifier comes from wisdom and dexterity. Defense modifier from wisdom and dexterity. Saving throw bonus, feat of agility. Saving throw bonus, saving throw. LKS, that's looks, right? Strength, wisdom, intelligence. Yep, looks. Looks defines your character's physical attractiveness and appearance. Whereas charisma defines your character's charm, wit, and personal influence and leadership ability. It is not a measure of beauty, but rather a personal magnetism. So your looks are your physical condition. Honor window, honor penalty, category of fame, morale, hero, fearless, brave, steady, nervous, cowardly. Experience points necessary, observation checks, listening check, feat of strength, turn undead. So here is our combat rows. So for 2 different weapons, combat profile for how you're outfitting yourself. So if you outfit yourself in different combat ways, you've got 2 different combat roses here that you can fill out. So definitely, I think, use this alternate sheet with the combat roses. Previous hit point roll. Oh yeah, you got to keep. So this, you do get more hit points, but this is not by level, but it tries to curtail the inflationary hit point system. So remember, your damage rolls can penetrate, explode, create a lot of damage. You do get more hit points per level, but not at about half the rate in D&D. So it's not as fast. Your previous hit point roll, that's why it says previous hit point roll, because every other level you roll again, and you have to remember what you rolled on your previous hit point roll, because every other level you roll your hit die again, and if you exceed what you rolled on the last roll, then you get those points instead. If you didn't, you just stay with what you had. Luck points, threshold of pain, accumulated building points, body, shield, armor worn on your body are using a shield, damage tracker, I assume that's damage tracker for the shield, fatigue factor over here, combat profile for your different melee weapons. This game likes some crunch. Hit points. So here's our total hit points, but here's where we're tracking our individual wounds. How many points does each individual wound take? And this tells you how many days it takes to heal each individual wound. Combat profile with missile weapons, spells over here, treasure stored, proficiency, quirks, flaws, talents and racial abilities, languages, magic item or spell components, and skills. Whew. Hang on. Let's be complete here. Because I do love the wound system. I can't believe I'm going. Let's look at the wound system. Hang on. I want to how you heal. That way it will be here as well. So why is that important to make sure that you are tracking all of your wounds? Well, I love the tracking individual wounds system. So where is natural healing? And I did talk about this in another video when I was talking about why doesn't D&D track individual wounds? Because it should. But this does. So where is that in the book? Let's probably got an index over here. I do. Healing 283. Okay, so so here we go. All right, so healing time. Well, see, 280, 3 healing and healing time. Okay, so without the intervention of divine aid or first aid, each wound heals in a number of days of rest based on the amount of damage suffered. Thus, a 4-point wound takes 4 days of rest to regain a hit point and then becomes a 3-point wound. So this is not take a short rest and get all your hit points back. We're not doing that here. Of course not. Didn't bring this up. Here we go. So without the intervention of divine aid or first aid, each wound heals. So thus a 4-point wound takes 4 days of rest to regain a hit point and become a 3-point wound. After 3 more days of rest, another hit point returns and the injury becomes a 2-point wound. Note, however, that individual wounds heal in parallel. Thus, a character with 4 individual 5 hit point wounds recovers in the same time as a character with a single wound of the same severity. What do you think about that? I like it. For example, let's postulate that Urgaz the dwarf survives a brigand attack. He takes 3 wounds in that scrape, one that causes 3 points of damage, one that causes 5 points, and another trifling injury of just 1 point. Without access to first aid or curative magic, Urgaz needs to recuperate for 6 days on account of the 3-point wound. 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 6. 15 days for the 5-point wound. 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 15, and 1 day for the 1-point wound. Of course, since all the wounds heal simultaneously, Urgaz should be completely healed in 15 days. While this may entail an extended period of downtime for characters suffering egregious injuries, you can take comfort in the fact that your wounds heal simultaneously. But you can speed up healing time. And they say it's extremely beneficial to have a member of your team skilled in first aid. This individual can be a true combat multiplier by treating wounds as they occur, thereby extending your dwelling time in unfriendly environments. While 1 hit point at a time may seem insignificant, taken as an aggregate, they can often restore more lost points than a cleric beseeching his god for divine aid. I do remember, that you wanted that. I remember playing at Gen Con. He said you're going to be underwhelmed by clerics healing. They can heal you and they're fast, but they are not as good as they are in Dungeons and Dragons. Healing magic isn't quite as good. So having first aid is important. So injured characters under the care of first aid provider heal their wounds faster. This takes 2 forms: critical care and nursing. Critical care provides the opportunity to immediately treat individual wounds and lessen their severity. If successful, it restores 1 hit point per wound. Per wound, right? Not just 1 hit point, but 1 hit point per wound, and we're tracking individual wounds. So this can be particularly beneficial when an injured party has suffered a fair number of individual minor injuries. So nursing allows, so critical care is going to treat individual wounds. That's the role for critical care. And if you get that back, if you've been hit 4 times, you can get back 4 hit points because of that, assuming the roll on each wound is successful. Nursing allows natural healing to proceed at a quicker pace. For example, a 4 hit point wound ordinarily takes 10 days, 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 to heal. A first aid provider of at least novice mastery can reduce this to 7 days. 3 plus 2 plus 1 equals 7. And I suppose that's probably written in that skills section. So what is that? What that takes off 3. A master of first aid can reduce a 4-point hit wound from 10 days to only 3 3/4 of a day. 2 plus 1 plus 1/2 plus 1/4 equals 2 3/4 days. 3 days and 18 hours later, you'll be healed. If your character is lucky enough to know a cleric, stay on his good side. Clerics have access to certain divine spells that allow them to heal wounds instantly. Hit points restored from clerical healing apply to 1 wound at a time. Okay, hit points restored from clerical healing apply to 1 wound at a time. Any extra healing gets applied to another wound. Cleric's choice. Certain magical healing potions also provide immediate or improved healing. Andrew says, if you would like to add more complexity, and boy would we, why would we not? If you would like to add more complexity, you can have the efficacy of treatments go down if you use them too frequently. Lots to track, but seems to be more realistic if you like. And hey, we're all about that here. Pan Smith says the D10,000 critical hit chart, which is in the DMG, right, makes for some memorable attacks. Target killed instantly, gutted, and internal organs spill out. I forgot that it's a D10,000 critical hit chart. So, yes, this game needs more attention. This game needs more attention. All right, man, I still have so much to do. So I am got to get out of here. But thank you so much for joining me. Please do hit the like, subscribe. If you're watching on replay and you've been through this, I really appreciate your being here too. I have enjoyed this. This was a good one to go over today. It was just the right time for this. So thank you for being here, everybody. Let's promote HackMaster. Later.